Thank you for joining me here at the American News Network with Chris Sanders. Are there sleeper cells in the United States of America? Because we need to know. I'm in Washington, D.C. We've been activated. We're looking around. I want you to be on high alert because Iran is claiming there's sleeper cells scattered throughout our country, and I want you to know about that. Also, within the last 24 hours, North Korea and Russia have decided to enable Iran to be a nuclear power. Also, our bases in Syria, U.S. bases, are getting hit as we're speaking. So please, let's pray for our troops and this pathway to peace. Let's hope we establish it soon. Now, what are we doing? I think we're going back onto the days of reversing everything that President Carter has done. And we can see that from when we put in that kind of a puppet government back in 1979. That was courtesy of the peanut farmer himself. And there's a lot of things that have happened that have destabilized the Middle East courtesy of the United States of America. So we're playing a two-pronged war here, but the neat thing is Iran might be basically shutting off the Strait of Hormuz. Now, how does that work for you and I? Well, it works pretty good, especially for me and Drill Baby Drill. Oil might go up 20% of the world's oil. But whose oil is it anyway? It's China's oil. I want you to know China is our enemy. China's been supplying the Houthis with all their weaponry as they've been hitting the United States in the Red Sea. China is also now basically giving Iran weaponry. And I think the common denominator should be clear. They've also put warships in Egypt. Everywhere that we're at, we have a common enemy. So I want us to realize who our enemies are. I don't think that Iran is as much of an enemy as China is. I think with Iran, we're looking at a regime change, and that would be the Ayatollah. He has said some things as far as his death to America chant, and we've heard you loud and clear. In fact, so many times it's become irritating to Orange Man Good with watermelon balls. And as you can see, he has had enough. So we're going to be rolling in strong. My prayers are for our troops. I'm going to be going over the war weaponry of Russia. We now have threats from Russia, China, and North Korea. This world war has kicked off. It started courtesy of Benjamin Netanyahu telling us what to do. And it's funny, are we the good guys or the bad guys? I don't know, because we're in alliance with the guy that basically put pagers and explosives in pagers and sent them to Lebanon and murdered 15,000 children and displaced 1.9 million people from Gaza, and I'm talking about Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't know how come he's controlling our military or who gave him that authority. Perhaps it's the lobbying. Perhaps it's the buy-offs. Perhaps it's because we're so old and they've been so paid for that they'd rather fly a flag of Israel or a flag of any country, the Ukraine. I don't care what you see, any flag but the American flag, and it's just disappointing. So we have a lot of things to go on and go over today. None of it's good, but I do want you to know that the Strait of Hormuz is basically getting shut down courtesy of Uncle Sam. And that's going to make China quake. And if we play our cards correctly, let's drain all the Chinese oil that they can basically muster. Let's make it to where they can't drive their cars. And then let's go bomb the crap out of them. Of course, that's just what I would do. Here we have basically our Peregrine Falcon, the B-2. She did her job, and she did her job well. Now, did we take them out? Most likely. And can they get these toys? Well, most definitely. Because Kim Jong-il has basically said he would supply them. And we've also got now on reconnaissance, we have identified Chinese warplanes dropping off munitions and supplies into Iran. Who is China think they're fooling? So President Trump cabinet, I want us to be on high alert. I think that we should kick out every single Chinese national that's going to any of our universities or schools and do it this week right now. How much you going to take? Does your water taste differently in New Jersey? Is it acid-like? Did we have enough drones from China flying over our country? What about balloons? Didn't Jackwagon Joe make you feel safe back there at home? Well, he didn't make me feel safe, and somebody's standing up for us. Somebody's had enough. That would be this guy behind me, and this is somebody that we need to basically support as we go on into, into a war. Now, as far as pansy asses in the world and beta males, France is full of them. Now, we don't know about his wife, but I can tell you about the leader. His name is Macron. He basically is like a wimpy salad. And the French have had a long history of disrespecting Uncle Sam and all of us since the days of the French fry. No, I'm just saying that. Even back in uniform in the 90s, they were very disrespectful to us, so they can totally kiss my ass. I hope they have a regime change. I hope we get rid of Macron, NATO, EU. You guys aren't worth tits on a boar. And I hope that we just completely pull out and let you guys suffer because you're run by a bunch of ass clowns. That's straight from me to you, courtesy of, just what you need. So the U.S. base has been attacked, and in Syria, it's not a good thing. And this is happening 3 hours ago, and as such, unleash hell. That's right. Let God sort them out. Do what you got to do. We are at war. So we're going to have sleeper cells that are here. It doesn't look good for everybody, but we have gone into something that is basically uncharted territory. And by using our stealth bombers, courtesy of Benjamin Netanyahu begging Trump to go to war, we violated our platform of peace. And did we have a choice? It was either heels up Harris and a stolen government, or it was a platform of peace with Elon Musk and digital currency. But we saw a divide, didn't we? And now we're going down a pathway that none of us voted for, courtesy of Benjamin Netanyahu. So the question is, how much of Iran is he after? I think he's after all of it. I want a regime change, but Benjamin Netanyahu wants the new Israel, which is going to include a lot of Lebanon, a lot of Iran. It's something that the Arab world is totally not going to support, and it leaves us in a predicament which makes us look utterly evil. Now, I'm going to tell you something. In the Old Testament, we see the pathway of the Jews from the book of Kings on, and we see several kings that didn't follow God, and as such, the Jews lost their empire. And when they had a leader that followed God, they won. They couldn't be touched. But today, Revelation 2:9-3-9, a synagogue of Satan has returned pretending that they're Jews and that they are not. And they have strayed from the word. 613 commandments in the book of Leviticus and Deuteronomy. Leviticus means first book of law. Deuteronomy, second book of law. 365 good commandments, 248 bad commandments, and abominations, led by Big Mike Abomination, things that are unacceptable to the world, to the Lord, and as such have we strayed from God before we've gone into this? The answer is, yes, we have. So we want a regime change, I understand, and we have a very complex, badass bird in the sky. But now the plan is out. Now the war has started. And now our bases are getting hit, and our pathway of peace has been destroyed. So I'm going to go over some things. A lot of people say, Chris, are we going to get hit? And I say, you know what? We're actually wide open. As long as we have air traffic going and airplanes coming in, any missile could come in right with it. I want you to know the Chinese launched several from a submarine years ago just to test this theory out with Obama, to find out that we're defenseless on the West Coast. So Happy New Year. Now, China is going to basically suffer from this war, and we need them to suffer because every day they get drained. Every second that they don't have oil, We're going to drill, baby, drill, make America strong again, put all that oil into our ships, pull all that American-made bullets into our guns. It's time to manufacture, pull our bootstraps up, and get to work. So what do we have right now? But we have the war that has been started. Now, the Houthis for a long time have had some talent. And I've said this for basically the last 10 months. I knew that they were getting their war weaponry courtesy of Xi Jinping 100%. Now, how do I know that? Because they're the only other country that could give them the satellite data to directly hit Israel. That's why. Iran doesn't have it. They don't have enough satellites. Russia has been non-participating. All the Houthis, all that gear is courtesy of China. And China's main target is Israel. And their other main target is the United States. What do you think this war on fentanyl is? And for every lame politician out there that doesn't see eye to eye with me, I speak for the American mother and father. We demand that every illegal alien caught with fentanyl be handed the death penalty, either by hanging or to be shot. Enough is enough. This is chemical warfare. They're poisoning the pot supply, the cocaine supply, the speed supply, our alcohol, our water. What is next? And when is enough enough? China is the enemy. Communism is the enemy. We need to defeat communism. We need to defeat Xi Jinping, Little Kim, and the Ayatollah of Iran. If we stick to regime change, if we stick to getting the bad eggs out, we can save a lot of people and give them freedom, and that's what we're about. So we need to embrace freedom, and we need to secure freedom for everybody. What are the weapons that we're going to be fighting? Well, I want you to know the weapons that we're fighting have been China's all along, and there's only one country, though, that we need to respect, and it is damn sure not China. We need to wipe them out with Iran. The country that we need to fear as far as his toys would be Mother Russia, Vladimir Putin. Not only does he have 9 nuclear missiles from 9 to 15, Mach 9 to 15, SAR-MAT, that can blow up France, Texas, but he's got something else, and I'm going to go over it. I've gone over it a few times. And I want you to remember the SAR Bomb that he had a long time ago, and how that shockwave went around the world 3 times. What am I talking about? But the Poseidon, a nuclear torpedo created by Vladimir Putin. First it was 150, now 200 megatons. And this is something that we need to be aware of. Now, when he came into Cuba with that loud submarine, a lot of us thought that that's what he was doing. No, not at all. He was using a loud submarine so he could drown out the sonar, and probably Belgorod was somewhere nearby. And they were planting eggs. And what kind of eggs were they planting? But this egg behind me, and she's called Poseidon. Now, we got 15 torpedoes that Russia's released into the northern hemisphere, 15 in the southern hemisphere. I suspect we've probably got at least 3 or 4 of them in the Gulf of Mexico. We're talking about a nuclear cobalt tsunami wave that goes about a half-mile high. There's also one in between Ireland and the United Kingdom, so that they can make this nuclear wave go over all of Great Britain and totally take you out. And there's nothing you can do about it. So with all the smoke, with all the mirrors, with Macron acting tough, and with everybody else, since September 2015, now 10 years, they have been perfecting a cobalt nuclear submarine torpedo. Now, this torpedo is cruising around in everywhere. It's going so slow we can't detect it. It's going so quiet we can't detect it. And it's even been dropped off in suitcases, in boxes, you could say, at the bottom of the ocean. And when the time is right, he just lifts it up and she travels. Now, there's, like I said, various magnitudes, various strengths, but this is the strongest nuclear bomb in the world. And it's very deadly. And when they did an animation just last year, they were looking at Manhattan as the target. But if the Russians are showing us that Manhattan is the target, be expecting that in San Diego, Los Angeles, and everywhere else, because this is the most powerful nuclear device ever created. And I don't think that they would launch a 200 megaton in New York, maybe a 50 or 100, because the nuclear fallout would obviously go back and poison the entire Atlantic Ocean and waft back even into Russia. Now, the SAR bomb that you're seeing behind me, this was the largest bomb that they ever did. And from 100 kilometers away, this thing was basically just making all the windows fall out. The shock wave was so immense at the beginning in the top of the world that even in Norway and Finland, they felt this. Okay, now, the reason why I'm saying this is the Poseidon is 3 times bigger than the largest bomb ever created. Okay, so we had a 50 megaton. Well, let's try 4 of those. Let's try 200 megatons. So they gone to the 100, the 150, the 200, and now they got a Poseidon 4 times more powerful than the largest bomb that's ever gone off, ever. Now, it's going to cruise in. It's going to cruise in at like 100 miles an hour, then explode. And just so you can see the size of this thing's larger than the Freedom Tower or any skyscraper in New York, covered full of radiation, cobalt radiation. Everybody that's touched by it, every crop, everything dies from nuclear radiation. So it's a different war. It's not just bombs. It's not just missiles. No, we're talking about radioactive tsunamis caused by nuclear torpedoes that are bigger than anything you've ever thought of in your life. So this is one of the 2 things in Putin's arsenal that's death-defying, that'll take us out instantaneously. And I have to educate the American public on it, because this war weapon is going to hit us on the shores. Areas like Miami, areas like New York, areas like Houston, Texas, obliterated by the Poseidon. This is a reality. This is something that they talk about on Russian TV throughout Europe. And this is something that we need to be prepared for. Now, on this animation here, you can clearly see that they're using Long Island in Russia as the test base, where they're basically saying, this is how we're going to blow you up, America. And I'm gathering they're probably going to use 250 megaton bombs here, not a 200, because 200 takes out Texas. So these are things that are on the horizon. This is how the Russian secret tsunami bomb works, and I want you to be aware of it. Also, keep in mind China's mission is to attack us through satellites and microwave radiation using AI and something very much like Starlink. But they're going to zap our brains, and so this is not the war that we thought it was going to be at all. We have 2 choices if things get bad. Now, as far as the Ayatollah, as far as Little Kim, as far as even Putin and Xi Jinping, they believe that the world's problem isn't you and me. It's in fact Benjamin Netanyahu. And as I showed you, 15 in the north, 15 in the south, this Poseidon spear is real. And it's courtesy of Russia, with love to the United States, if we want to follow one man into the grave, according to their words, and that says, as long as we follow Benjamin Netanyahu and we continue to do what he wants us to do, well, Poseidon is on the map to blow us all up to kingdom come. So after Gaza, that was strike 1. Now we got Iran, that's strike 2, and they're giving us these warnings. Should we believe them? Now, I'm just the messenger here trying to give you information, but I want you to know that China is trying everything in its arsenal that it can to defeat Israel, to defeat the United States over there. So we need to gather up our troops. We need to kick them out of the Panama Canal. We need to kick them out of Nicaragua. We need to gain control in Central America. And by doing that, we need to gain control of Venezuela. We need to set and establish friendly relationships with Cuba and Venezuela, all the way through South America, and unite us in the name of Christ. And if we do that, and we can see our similarities, I believe that we can win a war without fighting and without even letting a bullet fly. In el nombre de Jesus, we can win. Now, the same thing in Russia. We have a Christian country, and instead of fighting, we need to unify under Christ. We need to understand that there are the believers and the non-believers. And is Israel being run by believers, or non-believers. I see, and I showed in the last episode how modern-day Zionists were kicking out Christians and Muslims, Hindus and Jews. Is that fair? Do we need to back such a racist regime? It's a question that I have because as the bombs start flying, as they're being dropped on our troops today, I want you to understand that we are in bed with an ally that would not be there to defend us, not for 1 second, because to them we're a bunch of Amalekites, to them we're a bunch of scum-sucking pigs. You see, you're not kosher enough to be saved according to some, and I want you to consider that. So the bombs are flying. They're flying because of racism, and we're defending racism. I don't think we're defending Judaism. We're definitely not defending people that I think even Jesus would say, you know, these are my cousins that do good, that live by the book, and that treat their neighbor the way they want to be treated, and above all, love. Tell the people of Gaza that. So we are in a conundrum. I wanted you to know that. The war is kicked off after the B-2, and instead of defeating Iran, we ignited an ant pile of 2 billion Muslims. Get ready. And are we on the right side? Well, before you get too excited, I want you to understand there's probably more Muslims and Americans in America than there are Jews. And the Civil War has come home. I've seen it from California to Washington, D.C. And I ask myself, is this because we're going to war? Is this because of Gaza? Or is this because we're fighting Israel's wars constantly? And sure, we took out the nukes. By the end of the week, if we haven't taken out the Ayatollah, well, it's going to be on, and he's activated. He's called for sleeper cells. So do we need to then be like basically Roosevelt, what he did to the Japanese in World War II? What did he do? Well, they owned most of California, much like the Iranians own most of California today. And if we repeat the same modus operandi that we did, we would go in there and seize all of the Iranian property, give it to the United States, and throw them in internment camps and concentration camps. And if you don't think we did that, well, this is what we did to the Japanese in the 1940s. And we're inching ourselves closer to do the exact same thing. And it's probably not going to stop just on Iranian Americans, but then it's going to start with Chinese Americans, because that's what we do. The war on drugs is a war on us. It started again. And I want you to know that the sleeper cells in America have been identified, some. And Iran and the Ayatollah is calling for our destruction from the inside. So we need to unify. Please be vigilant. I want you to notice everything. If anything is strange, I want you to report it to the police. If there are people that shouldn't be around, you need to tell ICE about it. Because this is not a game anymore. And we need to be concerned. I want you to look out for our water supply. We need to look out for people that are withholding and stopping traffic, stopping commerce. These are all tools used by the enemy to destroy America. And as such, we're doing the same thing today. So as we hit Iran, Iran's going to stop the Strait of Hormuz, because they think that's going to weaken us in oil and gas supplies, when guess what? We got oil and gas in Texas and Oklahoma, and we can keep us alive here at home. We can outlast China, and we need to outlast China. We need to stop doing trade with China. We need to manufacture stuff here. The stuff is getting serious. And we can't basically have our troops being defeated in any kind of way. So our first strike on our troops has happened. Iran responded with a 40-minute-long barrage of missiles. This was just 2 hours ago, and they're using bigger stuff than they have used in the past. And again, even though we're powerful, we got to pray for our boys and girls that are out there defending us. And so our troops were attacked, and this is just coming in the last 4 minutes since I've been talking. Our U.S. military base in Syria's Haskov province was hit in a sudden attack hours after our strikes on Iran. The assault was believed to be the first in a retaliation against American forces since the escalation began. and security was tightened at the base as tensions flare across the region, raising fears of a widening targeting from U.S. troops or troops abroad. We've been taking mortar rounds since last night, and just now within the last 4 minutes we've been seeing some missiles fly. So something big's going to be happening. I do want you to know we had 2 earthquakes in the last 5 days over there. Those were successful basically air raids from our B-2 when we did destroy the targets. The third target, they might have moved stuff out because we didn't get an earthquake. That's just something that I'm going to let you know. And I think that's because, again, loose lips sink ships. We let the cat out of the bag. I think that they moved some stuff. Now, either they moved it or they had it, but I think they were sitting on tons of nuclear material, tons of it. And I think we're going to see a response, and I think it's going to come directly from China. Keep in mind, China's got like a few thousand probably nuclear missiles. They say 500. I don't believe a word Xi Jinping says. They're unaccounted for. They're liars. They lied about the Wuhan virus. They steal every patent that we have. They did SARS. They did COVID. When is enough to understand that the world's terrorists come from Xi Jinping? And that it is time for us to end our relationship with China altogether in the name of freedom, because China represents communism. You can't even worship Christ, Buddha, Muhammad, no one in China. So the Chinese people are being held hostage, and we need to save them. I'm not saying all Chinese are bad, but while they're being run by someone more evil than Khomeini, we need to put Xi Jinping, Khomeini, Little Kim, all in the same box and address them as our enemy. Because this chess game that's going on, because we have Benjamin Netanyahu somehow throws Vladimir Putin in an alliance with Xi Jinping and Little Kim. And those numbers are not too good for the United States of America, because we are severely outnumbered to the fact that they could give them all a pocket knife, cruise across Europe and the United States and kill us just like that. So we need to defend our borders. And we need to do it now. The other thing I want you to know that is very important is not only did China say that they would give Iran nuclear weapons, no, it's even more serious than that, because I don't think a Chinese nuclear weapon's going to work. But you know whose weapons are going to work? Vladimir Putin's weapons are going to work. They're tested, they work, and within the last 4 hours, we see that Putin is saying that Khomeini has emerged stronger than before. Now, China's in a weak position, but yet Russian President Vladimir Putin, close aide Dmitry Medvedev, claimed that a number of countries are ready to supply Iran with nuclear warheads after the U.S. airstrikes. Medvedev said the U.S. operation targeting sites in Isfahan, Natas, and Fordo had not only failed to achieve its objective, but had in fact produced the opposite result. He also mocked Trump, saying that he must forget the Nobel Peace Prize. And basically, we have a tit-for-tat going on a big scale. Do we want to follow Benjamin Netanyahu into World War III with Trump? Or do we need to just take out certain operatives? I think we need to be precise. I think we need to address that Iran and the people of Iran are not our enemy. Just Khomeini is. Just the leader of the Shiite religion. If they could reinstall themselves to where they had peace and a separation of church and state, they could move into the century that we're in and perhaps have freedom. But that's not what we're looking at. We're seeing a unification now of all of the Muslim empires because of Benjamin Netanyahu and because of what we're getting behind after he pulled what he did in Gaza. If you're asking me where I stand, I definitely don't stand behind anybody that goes in and murders children, because I'm a Christian. I serve children. I serve everybody's child. And to kill a child just makes you a total turd in my book. So I don't even want to support anybody like that, period. I think a regime change needs to happen in Israel as well. And I pray for Israel that they get a leader that has a compassionate heart, that believes in love. Because believe it or not, Muslims and Jews have been getting nonsense inception. They're relatives. They're the seeds of Abraham. Muslims are the children of Hagar and Ishmael, and Jews with Sarah and Jacob. And we have something that's going on, and it's a disagreement, and it's caused by somebody that's really not a Jew pretending that he is. And they're destroying Israel, they're destroying Judaism, and they're starting World War III. We can do better than this. The problem is old leaders that shouldn't have their power, and we need term limitations everywhere. Did you know that Xi Jinping has violated the Chinese Constitution? He was only supposed to be in 2 terms. He's in for 3. Did you know that he also basically put the other prime ministers that questioned him in prison, and we're still backing this guy ever since the days of SARS, COVID, and when will it stop? So President Trump, please stop saying that you like Xi Jinping, because he's utterly disgusting and he steals all of our patents and copyrights. He's a total schmuck. If you want to say you like somebody, why don't you say you like Vladimir Putin? I've seen him destroy communism. I now see more Russian millionaires in Europe than Americans, because that's the sign of a good leader that believes in capitalism. What's wrong with the picture? Well, the picture is that we are being bled dry, and we're being bled dry because we're letting China do our manufacturing, and everything they make is crap. It's trash. Don't ask me. Just look in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. You have something the size of Texas, a whole bunch of plastic, all from China. It's not like in the days when we had good quality stuff from Taiwan, or even better quality stuff from Japan. And if you can't notice the difference, go ahead and pick up a guitar from China and one from Japan. One will appreciate, one will immediately depreciate, because all China makes is crap, period. So if they get into a war with us, bring it, because your warbirds are probably equally as crap. But we have to understand that they are putting everything they can into defeating the United States military, as we have our own alliance from being bought out with Israel. Do I want to go? Do I want to lose one American soldier over the Israeli war in Tehran? My answer is no, not at all. This is just because, in my opinion, we have a president that loves Israel. He'll wear his yarmulke, he'll go to the Western Wall, and he will sacrifice every single American, not to Israel, not to Judaism, but to his friend, Benjamin Netanyahu. So I'll draw a line of he that has not sinned cast the first stone. And I, as the oldest, will leave knowing my sin. But I definitely don't want to live in sin. I don't want to participate in something after it's been so evil. Some of us say, well, Jews have the right to protect themselves October 7th. And I'm like, where did you start on October 7th? And that's pure theatrics to me. They have a long history of war ever since they've been there. They've been at war every single time we're at war. If you study it, every time our president changes over, they simultaneously drag us into the war, starting with Egypt, then Jordan, then Saudi, then Iraq, then Lebanon, Iran, Turkey. There's not one neighbor that Israel's not in a war with. I'm just glad that America's not next to Israel, because they would be in a war with us too. And as we go and visit them, they yell at us, they spit at us, they tell us that Christ did not exist. And I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about it hard. So the closure of the Strait of Hormuz will be stopped, and it started now. And so countries like Oman are going to be thrown right into the middle of this with Saudi Arabia. How are they going to play? Are they going to join forces immediately? Is blood thicker than water? Is the Islam nation of Saudi and Oman and everybody going to unite against America in the name of Allah? Or are they going to help us do a regime change with the Ayatollah of Iran? Well, the president of Iran just got back from Russia, and Russia said, well, we're going to help you guys out. We think that America's being a bully with Israel, and we're going to supply you with nuclear power. And that's something that I think that we need to be very cautious about. And right now we have people in our cabinet. They're very happy with what they're doing. We got Secretary of State Marco Rubio and the rest of the cabinet. And they're basically giving us a big announcement right now and talking about our success, about hitting Iran's nuclear facilities. Well, the response: China, Russia, and North Korea have agreed to give Iran nuclear missiles now. The problem is that this catapults the war scenario by a decade, and this now arms Iran with the tools that it needs to totally take out Israel within a minute. I'll say this again: Israel, Jerusalem is a one-bomb scenario. So by being a one-bomb scenario, you would think that you would treat your neighbors better than you treat yourself. And above all, love. But that lesson was given to you by Jesus. And you have to follow Jesus so that you can live in love. And I don't want us to enter into anything that is filled full of so much hate. So we have protesters that are clashing with ICE from California to Texas to San Diego. Don't tell me that a civil war has not started. And I did the number: 700,000 Californians are from Iran. Iran has 92 million people in it. 1 out of 54 Californians has an Iranian relative. And I'm not even including Islam. You want to combine that with 30 million illegal aliens. You want to combine that with all the criminals that Jackwagon Joe let in. And it's the recipe for a total disaster. So I want everybody to be on guard, because look at what we're looking at. We have basically a governor that has gone against the United States of America, Gavin Newsom, one of Nancy Pelosi's relatives. They violate the law in front of our face. They shred the Constitution. They incite riots. This is a constitutional violation. Where is the peace and tranquility and general welfare of the state of California? Understand that's the opening preamble that gives these people the rights to sway and to be our leaders. And when they violate the opening preamble of the Constitution, they no longer have the right to be a decision maker for our country. So why are we enabling people that are causing civil war? That's what I would like to know. And does it look like we're following peace? Okay? The answer is no. And I want you to see that. CBN also, they're trying to pull this, but it's very important for Americans to understand that we're not welcome in Israel. And these are stories that are, they don't want us to know because, Fox and CNN and all these companies are bought out by the Khazarian mafia and media. But I'm not. There's no commercials here. This comes straight out of my own pocket because I drill oil and gas, and I can't leave my kids or grandkids in this conundrum. This is not the America I remember, and it's time for us to take it back. They're spitting, they're hitting, they're attacking at Christians, Muslims, Jews, everything. And I'm talking about this new Zionistic regimen run by Benjamin Netanyahu. And I pray that Israel will get a leader that's compassionate, that they actually vote for, because the last several times they've tried, he's made them disappear. So who's running a dictatorship? And who's controlling Congress? And how did he get our money? Ukraine. Because the laundromat of Israel and the Ukraine's getting a little bit thick and a little bit deep, and I don't think America's buying it. The only people that are buying the fact that Israel owns us are people that are over 65 years old. But if you look to the entire younger generation of America, you're looking at a civil war, and the 65-year-olds are not going to last, even if we love our country, because we've opened the doors to communism and hate. We're supplying Xi Jinping daily. We're letting a dictator in Israel move our military around as if he's our commander-in-chief. And that just sucks as far as I'm concerned. Our military looks like crap. They can't even march. People say, well, Chris, they're brand new. I read your comments. That's just a load of garbage too. What part of basic training 6 weeks and looking sharp don't you understand? Because in the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, we looked damn sharp after basic training. These guys cannot even march. That is scary because they can't operate in a cohesive unit so that they can accomplish a mission. I think that they're all laughing at us. I think we should be very concerned. I also want us to concentrate on certain elements and why people have chosen certain numbers and what their true passion is in life. And so I'll say this with President Trump's son-in-law, Ivanka. I understand Jared Kushner is a Jew, Ivanka Trump is a Jew, and our fabulous president wears a yarmulke at the Wailing Wall, showing that he is a Jew as well, when he would look much better in a cowboy hat, in my opinion. But Jared Kushner is about to introduce an antichrist system. And he's got so much control, and Trump has doted out so much control to his own family. But are their hearts going in the right direction? Now, you could say, yes, Chris, his heart's in the right direction 100%. And I'd say, well, then why did he pick 666 as his address? And what's he doing in Israel? And is he being good to kids? Has the actions that we're backing up, are they good to kids? Are they good to world peace? Or have we turned into a vicious police state that nobody can accept anymore? Because I want to be somebody that's remembered as being good, but I'm not seeing that by this guy right here. See, I think we have a whole bunch of entitled, spoiled brats that are draining us dry as they profiteer off of the lives of innocent people. It's gone on since the Bush family. If you doubt that, go look at IBM and Xerox. Maybe some people could make comments below. Are we being run by BlackRock? Are we being run by organizations that just profit off of death and destruction? These are things that we need to know. So we have the United States military revealing more information just in the last 3 hours, and it is positive. But at the same time, in the last 3 hours, we have an alliance of China, Russia, and North Korea, and they have decided to give Iran nukes while our troops are being hit because we are in World War III. Many people say, Chris, get out of Washington, D.C. Chris, or our loved ones, be afraid. Go somewhere. You live in a hole. No, we do not operate under fear. Fear is a tool of the devil. Fear, doubt, deception, these are all tools of the devil. Live fearless. See what needs to be seen. Help out your country. Keep each other safe. And through God's love, we're going to champion and win like we usually do, because we're built on a rock, and that rock is beautiful. We need certain people to step down. And truly, the old Shah's son, and there's another regime we could put into place, and we're humbly asking the world to let us put a new leader in place in Iran. Do you think the world's going to let us? Because we also put a leader in the Ukraine. His name was Zelensky, and did that work out well? What about the leader they have in Israel? Is that working out well? Well, these are all questions I want you to answer. As we have generals that have gathered, as our troops are going out, we're sending out another aircraft carrier, leaving us more exposed here at home. While the Ayatollah says that he's igniting sleeper cells. Are these sleeper cells then, in my opinion, going to be letting off bombs, pipe bombs, poisons? And if they're poisons, did they get the poisons from China? The answer is yes. It's called fentanyl. Again, we need to establish the death penalty for every illegal alien that is caught with fentanyl. We cannot give them a court case. They need to be executed. As far as people waving other flags in our country, well, they should be shot on the scene by ICE. This would end this in 2 seconds and clean up our streets and bring law and order back. But if I see a flag from another country, I'm going to assume that you're here for a takeover. Also, if we see you burning an American flag, if a veteran does and he wipes your butt out of existence, so be it, and you deserved it. Do not disrespect America while you're here, please. Just like we try not to disrespect you in your country. Of course, I can't speak for all of us, and I can't say everything that I need to. Now, this is something that I wanted to say. And remember, Fadro was basically not hit correctly. We did not get the earthquake that we wanted, proving that we destroyed everything. Well, guess what? In the last hour, we hit it again. That's right, we hit it stronger, deeper, longer, harder. Operation Viagra, Cialis, has been a success. And we hit you, turd bird, and blew up that site as well. So now 3 out of 3, we've done it. And like I said, we accomplished our missions, but as we accomplished our missions, we unified Russia, China, and North Korea together, and other countries in the Muslim Empire, so that they could attack the United States and Israel. My question is, does Israel deserve our support when they did not listen to us in Gaza? Do they deserve our support when every single thing Netanyahu has said, even in war strategy, has been a blatant lie, strategically and by his own lips to the American public? No, my answer is, we should not support Benjamin Netanyahu. He's lied too many times, and they need a new leader, one that we can believe in, one that we know that doesn't come here and owns us. Because as Speaker Jordan says, His Excellency Netanyahu, I've gotten into this with attorneys, and I said, look, he created 2 constitutional violations. Titles of nobility are prohibited to be used in Congress, and he used it. Second, every dollar that we give Iran, every dollar that we give Israel supports Judaism and Islam. And in the Constitution it says that Congress shall make no law regarding the establishment of a religion. But we're establishing Judaism. We're establishing Zionism at the cost of Islam, and then they want it funded by Christ. And the answer is no. So these are things that are happening, and the Zionists are seeming to own us. They've been in conjunction with basically bad leaders, and I want you to know who started this. Hillary Clinton supplied Iran with uranium to enrich their nuclear program. So she's so great, good old Hillary. We can thank her for the Watergate. We can thank her for robbing the people of Haiti, and we can thank her for giving Iran uranium. Good old Hillary Clinton, enemy of the state. Now, Barack Hussein Obama, the Manchurian candidate. Barack Obama gave Iran $1.7 billion that they used to fund then later on this nuclear program that we're fighting today. Courtesy of the Democrats, you could say. But wait, there's more. Jackwagon Joe, good old Jackwagon Joe Autopin, pardon man. He unfroze $16 billion in funds to Iran. Wasn't that nice of him? Even though I did a budget, $10 billion would have put every single U.S. veteran in a house instead of how we keep them in tents. I want you to let that sink in. Joe Biden gave $16 billion to Iran when just $10 billion was the budget I put together myself that would have housed every single homeless United States veteran. We have 107,000 homeless veterans. I did a budget that would give them all a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house on 2 acres, fully sustainable, with a house that produces its own electricity, heat, air conditioning, and water. And I also budgeted them in to have their own guns and munitions, because I look at it as our last line of defense. And what do you think's a better use of proceeds? $16 billion to Iran so that they can blow up everybody as they chant death to America? Or $10 billion to 107,000 homeless veterans? Now I'm going to tell you, not all Muslims are bad. Not all Hindus are bad. Why? Here I'm in Washington, D.C., and an imam and I together are the only 2 people that are putting our efforts together to take all the homeless off the street, to take all of the homeless veterans off the street. Because if you answer to God, period, you answer to a higher power. And that's something more of us need in our lives. Accountability. So in the name of accountability, in the name of people that share faith, in the name of parents, I pray for peace. I pray for your family, my family, our health and happiness. And I don't want to see us going into war. And the solution is to love. I think Jesus gave us all the tools we need so that we can be victorious in everything that we fight together. There's a huge aftermath. Of course, Iron Dome has failed. Iran responded with a 40-minute barrage of missiles. And Tel Aviv, from 3 a.m. on, was extremely attacked. Israelis have been panicking, so has Iranians, and it's all unnecessary. This is all because Benjamin Netanyahu is on a warpath, because he's not popular, just like Jackwagon Joe, just like Zelensky. And when you have leaders that are not popular, that shouldn't be there, their only way to stay in is to create a war. That's why Xi Jinping is frothing at the bit with SARS and COVID and everything that he can, because he has stolen China. Just like, the Ayatollah has stolen the freedom of the people of Iran. The problem is that we cannot let Benjamin Netanyahu lead the way, because his objectives with Iran are different than ours. We want to change the religious radical leader, whereas he wants to take over and destroy the entire country. There's a big difference on where he stands and where we stand. There's a big difference on what Trump says and what Benjamin Netanyahu says. And everybody in America knows it. And it's sad to see another country control us from the inside out. We have to do something about this. We have to get Israel and all of these foreign countries out of Congress, because the results and the end results are 15,000 dead kids in Gaza, 1.9 million displaced people from Gaza, and when I read the Old Testament, Gaza Heights is in the book of Genesis before the creation of Israel. It's okay, though, because the Rothschilds and the Lord Rothschilds even said when they stole Palestine that they would do this one day. And so their plan is going and being executed just as it was designed to be, at the cost of freedom. So, is this a good time? We're losing allies left and right. We have Asia that's in a conundrum. Are we going to lose Vietnam? Is Vietnam then going to go against the Philippines? Because all the chess pieces are getting scattered. I think Europe is lost. They understand they've lost. They've ran out of gas. And this chess move for us with the Strait of Hormuz will be good, because for every day that we can extend it, we will be bleeding China dry on their oil and gas supply. And at the same time, this is great for me in Texas and Louisiana and everywhere in the United States, because there is a country that's ready to supply Asia with oil and gas. And that's you and I, right here at home. So, support your local operator. Understand for accredited investors that you can participate with about a 90% tax write-off to invest in oil and gas come tax season. And of course, what I'm doing is I'm taking over leases and operators that have about a 3-year payout. And it's pretty hard to come around 33 to 25% ROI, but that's what we're doing. And if you'd like to know more about that, you can go to americadrillbabydrill.com. Also, instead of selling our sulfur, kicking ourselves in the nuts, I'm collecting coal and sulfur and all the salts I need so that we can make American-made bullets, so we can make bullets that go faster, stronger, and that are more effective than anything that you've seen before. If you can join forces with us, I'll be trying to provide law enforcement in every single state with free rounds, courtesy of Drill Baby Drill and American-made bullets, because we need to do these things, because our children, they depend on us for the future and our future in freedom. God bless each and every one of you. I hope we can remain free. But everything that we're doing lately is showing me something that just is tearing us apart. Again, riots are all over. And what you're seeing behind me now is a unification of the Muslim world. Thousands protest across the Middle East in solidarity with Iran. From Yemen to Tehran to everywhere, as they burn together the flag of Israel with the United States. They are unifying. They are unifying through their faith, through what we're doing. Even in America, you see the streets, same thing. So be on high alert and understand that this is going on worldwide. And I don't see a difference between the protests in Iran that you're seeing here behind me. Okay? How different does that look right there than Los Angeles? It's the same design coming from the same people, courtesy of Xi Jinping and George Soros. I've even found the same actors countless times. Why are you letting them walk the streets? Every single one of these people need to be detained, at least detained and questioned, so that we can have a safe America. There's a new thing out there called MEGA, Make Iran Great Again. And if it's just led by us, that could happen. But if it's led by Benjamin Netanyahu, we're just going to see death and destruction. These opinions are my own. Thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe on any platform you want to, because we have to protect each other. Remember, today, the Ayatollah said that he had sleeper cells once again in the United States of America, so I want you to be vigilant. I want you to notice things, and if you have a question, please reach out to your local law enforcement, dial 911, or contact ICE immediately, because these people are there to serve you, protect you, and to keep our houses and homes safe. God bless you, and thank you for listening to me here at the American News Network. This is also Major News Network on all Roku and on TVs. And on your smartphone, on your Apple iPhone, just type in Major News Network. You'll see our app. And we will continue to try to make America safe again. God bless you. Thank you for listening, and good day.